A very warm welcome, everyone, to our side event of the Women's Federation for World Peace at this CCPCJ35. And our title is It Takes a Village to Raise a Child, a multisectoral approach in establishing an environment of prevention and protection. So we're very welcome that all of you could join us here, colleagues and friends, and also online. We're very happy that you could join. And I would like to introduce our director of UNT Vienna of the Women's Federation for World Peace, Dr. Maya Riel. She's a medical doctor, a devoted grandmother, and has done also a lot of work in the past behind the Iron Curtain. And we're very pleased that she could be here. So the welcome remarks are for you. Thank you, Maya.
Thank you very much, dear Join. It is a big honor for me to welcome you again, also from my side, and even much more bigger honor that our international president of Women's Federation for World Peace can be with us. Her name is Mrs. Moriko Hori. She lives in Japan, Tokyo now, but she travels lots around the world. She oversees 800 chapters nationwide in her own country and focuses on community activities related to family and youth education. She is also the director of the Global Development and Aid Projects of Women's Federation for World Peace International and has worked for more than 110 humanitarian projects in 50 countries that contribute to realization of the SDGs, particularly in the areas of women's empowerment, poverty eradication, AIDS prevention education, education assistance, and medical assistance. Some of its projects have been selected by the United Nations as best practices. She graduated from Columbia University in US with bachelor degree in cultural anthropology from the Graduate School of Waseda University, Japan, with a degree of master and PhD program in international relationships, especially in Japan-Korea history education and reconciliation studies. She is senior researcher and member of the board of directors at the Institute for Peace Policies. Dear Moriko, welcome to our round. Greetings from Vienna to Tokyo, and the floor is yours. Please.
Thank you, Maria, Kyung-in. Greetings from Tokyo, Japan. We're now having, huge typhoon, but I'm fine. Distinguished delegates, excellencies, representative of the United Nations, colleagues from civil society, and dear friends. Good morning, I guess. It is a great honor to welcome you to this side event of the 35th Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to our speakers, partners, and all participants joining us here in Vienna and online. Our theme today, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child, reflects a simple yet profound truth. Crime prevention is not the responsibility of one institution alone. It requires the collective efforts of families, schools, communities, governments, civil society, organizations, and the private sector. When these actors work together, they create a protective environment that enables children and young people to thrive. Too often, discussions on crime prevention begin when criminal behavior has already emerged. We focus on law enforcement, courts, detention facilities, and rehabilitation programs. These are important components of criminal justice system. However, research consistently shows that the most effective and cost-efficient crime prevention begins much earlier. It begins before a young person enters the justice system. It begins before violence occurs. It begins before harmful behaviors become entrenched. It begins in the family. So today, young people are facing unprecedented challenges. Many experience loneliness, family conflict, social isolation, poverty, exposure to violence, online exploitation, substance abuse, and increasing mental health concerns. Adolescence and early adulthood are periods of tremendous opportunity, but also vulnerability. During these formative years, young people are searching for identity, belonging, and purpose. When positive support systems are absent, they become more susceptible to criminal environment. Sorry. Criminal involvement, violence, gang activity, and other harmful influences. So for this reason, we must strengthen the protective factors that help young people make healthy choices and develop resilience. At Women's Federation for World Peace, we believe that families are the first line of criminal prevention. We often say that the schools are the first line of education. I would suggest that families are the first line of crime prevention. Families are where children first learn trust, empathy, responsibility, self-control, and respect for others. Families are where values are transmitted, emotional resilience is developed, and healthy relationships are modeled. When families are strong, communities become stronger. When communities are stronger, societies become safer. This understanding has guided Women's Federation work for more than 3 decades in communities around the world. In Japan, we have recently launched a Family Strengthening Program, a practical initiative designed to improve communication within families, strengthen parent-child relationships, and create safer and more supportive home environments. The program is inspired by more than 34 years of Women's Federation's experience working with families and communities, as well as international evidence-based approaches, including the UNODC Strong Families Framework. Participants learn practical skills such as active listening, emotional regulation, constructive communication, conflict resolution, and family dialogue. Rather than simply providing information, the program focuses on building daily habits that strengthen relationship and foster trust. Our goal is not only to improve family well-being, our goal is prevention. Prevention of violence, prevention of family breakdown, prevention of social isolation, and ultimately prevention of crime. When children feel heard, respected, supported, and connected to caring adults, they are far less likely to seek belonging in destructive environments. So we have observed similar outcomes through our international projects. In Jordan, Women's Federation has supported youth development initiatives in vulnerable communities affected by economic hardships and displacement. Through value-based education, leadership development, monitoring, and community engagement, young people gain the skills and confidence necessary to navigate difficult circumstances. These programs strengthen self-esteem, communication skills, emotional regulation, and a sense of purpose, all factors associated with reducing risk and increasing resilience. So what these experiences teach us is that prevention is not merely a policy objective. Prevention is relational. So it is built through positive relationships between parents and children, teachers and students, mentors and youth, neighbors and communities. This is why the multisectoral approach highlighted in today's event is so important. Government cannot do this alone. Civil society cannot do this alone. School, families cannot do this alone. We need partnership that connect all sectors of society around the common goal, creating environments where children and young people can develop safely, realize their potential, and contribute positively to society. I would also like to recognize the critical role of women in this process. Across cultures and communities, women often serve as caregivers, educators, mentors, and community builders. They are frequently the first to recognize signs of distress in a child and the first to intervene when support is needed. By empowering women and strengthening families, we strengthen the social fabric that protects young people from harm. As we begin today's discussion, I encourage us to think beyond traditional approaches to crime prevention. Let us focus not only on responding to problems, but on creating the conditions that prevent those problems from arising in the first place. If we are serious about reducing crime, we must invest in families. If we are serious about protecting youth, we must strengthen communities. If we are serious about building peaceful societies, we must work together across sectors and generations. A well-known saying reminds us that it takes a village to raise a child. Today, I would add, it takes a village to prevent crime. So let us work together to build that village, one that offers every child protection, opportunity, belonging, and hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Moriko, that you could be with us live and for your beautiful introduction words. Thank you. And without further ado, we're going to go to a next welcoming remark. It's from Attorney Daryl Jenron Dimigano, and she is here as a representative of the Permanent Mission of the Philippines. She has a very impressive CV that you can read here, but we are especially very grateful and happy that you're here with your support. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Our distinguished speakers, excellencies, colleagues, and friends, good morning. I extend my warm congratulations to the WFWP for organizing this timely discussion focusing on children who are among the most vulnerable members of the society. Thank you for extending the invitation to the Philippine Mission to be part of this important event. Today, we meet as colleagues, leaders, and advocates. We also meet as neighbors and as one great village with a common duty to raise, to care, and to protect our children. A reading of the theme of today's side event leads us to a very powerful reminder that when it comes to building an environment that is safe for our children, no single family, no single institution, no single sector can do it on its own. For the Philippines, the protection of children and youth is a major advocacy of our government. In fact, the Philippines once again highlighted this advocacy during this week's CCPCJ session, in which my ambassador highlighted our government's works in advancing the welfare of our children and youth, especially on the digital environment, the internet. She also highlighted what the Philippines has been doing to intensify its efforts to combat online sexual abuse or exploitation of children and child sexual abuse or exploitation materials, or OSAIC and CSAIC, noting the tremendous detrimental impact of OSAIC and CSAIC on children's safety, well-being, and development. As we listen to our distinguished speakers today, I hope that together we can reaffirm our commitment to provide a setting in which every child feels safe, valued, heard, and empowered to become the best they can be. It takes a partnership of parents, schools, governments, NGOs, civil society, as well as the private sector, a multisectoral approach. Many can be taken into considerations when raising a child. We all have a part to play, and until all the pieces fit just like in a jigsaw puzzle, we will not have a strong base and building blocks of prevention and protection. Let us be inspired by today's discussion to have a common understanding in creating a safe space, and to pledge to a future where no child is left behind, where every child has the opportunity to thrive and reach their full potential. Thank you, and I wish everyone a productive discussion.
And thank you for your support always of your mission of the Philippines. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first panel speaker of this morning. It is still morning, and that is Dr. Maria Gabriela Tomasin. She is a medical doctor and anesthesiologist, and originally from Venezuela, currently based in Vienna. She's most interested and focused on brain development, how education is influencing the human brain, and lays the ground for the lifestyle one pursues as a young person into adulthood. So she developed curricula on various topics, among others, Smart Family, Why Get Married, The Power of Brain Chemistry for Love, Sex, and Happiness. And she has been active in many more projects. And today she will be illustrating or explaining a bit about brain development in children and youth. So Dr. Tomasini, we're so grateful that you're here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful too. Hello, everybody, excellencies, all of our colleagues and our friends, always working together. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and for the introduction. Well, yes, I'm going to be a little bit in a rush because there is a lot of information. I don't want to overwhelm you. So if you want to, please take pictures, and then you can maybe analyze when you go back home and see that. If you want to take a better look at these, we can pass these around if you want to. And this is a chart that I think should be, and I recommend it should be in every legislation chamber. Why? Because it explains how the brain develops, how the human brain develops, because it's totally different, a human brain than any other kind of brain, okay? So this is a work that was done by Dr. J.G. This is courtesy from him and for all humankind, actually. And the important thing here is that we're going to see every one of those brains represent 5 years of development, right? Starting from 0 and then 2 until 25 years old. So as you can see, it's very, very different. What you can see is the more violet it turns, is the more activated it is. So you can see that in certain areas, like in the middle one, you are 15 years old and people are talking and ask about consensual things, right? So neurons for consent is not active yet. They cannot make sound decisions. They cannot make decisions that will take into account consequences yet, right? So, and as you can see, the red part is the part of here. You can see this part here is like around very, very deep in the brain. It's the amygdala, right? The limbic system. It's not yet activated and connected enough. We need to connect all of our, let's say, people call it reptilian brain, subcortical structures, whatever you want to call it, but it's survival. It's only for survival, fight, flight, collapse, or freeze, right? So these part that only looks for biological, listen to this, biological survival. Never say survival without the word biological, because these parts of the brain only intend the physical part, the organic part, not the dignity of being human. Not, what it really means to be human and to be loved and love other people in the way humans can do, right? So what this means in very, very epitomized way, full maturation until the level of adult interdependence takes more than 2 decades, right? That means we need to accompany our children, our young people until around that age to take big decisions, to make big decisions, right? Also, when we see this, when we have a teenager
jumping beside us, trying to tell us, oh, Mom, I want to go this, or teacher, I want to do that, or whoever, right? And they're jumping and they have to move and they have to do many things. It's not chaos. It's the differentiation process. And what you can see here, there is a lot of dopamine going on. There is a lot of synapses, is the connection between neurons going on. So what does that mean? It means vulnerability. They're very extremely vulnerable to any external agent. And we can change this track, this way that is pre-programmed in our DNA. We can change this and we can mature things before they can mature emotional regulation. Then emotional regulation is going to be really hard, or it's going to be very, very challenging, right? And then the third one is that differentiation brings forth functions toward fulfillment of the uniqueness of each individual. Okay, so everything is good, like it's like origin, division, it has to divide in many, many areas. For what? For integrity, for integration, okay, for reuniting into the person that we want to be. So this is only to show you like an iceberg, because we see like a full person with all of these things, physically, but they're not ready. They're not ready for many things, right? Because the brain that makes decisions, it's completely developed only until 25, like we said, and that's not everywhere. That's an average. Of course, many people mature faster and others take longer. And I have to look at my time. And we have around 86 billion neurons for around 103 or 100 to 300 trillion potential connections. So imagine all of those connections without knowing these principles. Imagine that. Can you imagine that? Just look outside and you will see what it is like when this happens. Sorry, something's happening with the clicker. Yes. Okay. So never forget that we are in front of something that we don't see the whole thing in there. Remember the chart and then we'll see better. So the dopamine in the teen brain. Well, the president of the Women's Federation for World Peace, you have these in the handouts that I gave you. You have these, sorry, it has 2 or 3 typos. And this is like the pathway to become a user or a criminal. And it all ends, and this is science-based, and it's completely in accordance with the opening remark, right? So we have disrupted families that children have to go through divorce. And we're not saying anything against any of that. We're saying everything against suffering, human suffering, right? So we need to really devote ourselves to end this suffering in any way and any level, right? So this is all statistic based, and poverty was mentioned already, economic hardships, daddy not showing to the volleyball game, to the football game, parental use, that's a big predictor, right? So sometimes we forget that there is a brain there. There is an area in the brain that has something called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons, they mirror what parents do. They don't do what parents tell them, because this is not an age where you can do what you listen, but you do what you see. So you're gonna pick up not only all of it when you see how they move their hands, how they walk, how they talk. Oh, you look so much like your mom. But you're not only picking that up. This is called vicarious learning. All of you know about that. It's like mirror learning, right? So sorry, I have to really run more. And then you can see all of the pathway that takes you there has to do with the family, what happens there, the whole community, the whole society. So we need, I would say, reformation of all of us, all of society, actually see how the brain will is so vulnerable that you can change the way it will be wired. And if you read here, it says you can perpetuate this cycle, because we know now that if you are a using parent that use drugs, then there is an intergenerational, and always the answer is in the golden thing. So first condition that we need to know, and it's on your handout, all human brains need drugs to develop. And she goes, what? Really? Yes, all human brains need drugs to develop, but all drugs needed are here. They're in our central nervous system, right? So what we need to know is how it works. We need to know the principles of how it works. And development, this is the very important principle, occurs in phases that should not be skipped, underestimated, overestimated. Sometimes we overestimate our children's intelligence, and it cannot be also ignored. So this is how the brain develops, and it goes from back to front, down, up, or whatever. But what it means is that from primitive to more sophisticated. So until we're not in this a stage of more sophistication, we cannot attribute or ask for things that children cannot give us, like prevention measures, right? The fourth condition, development of all phases should be carried on according to principles that make sure we create the uniquely human environment. Humans can talk, humans can dialogue, humans can direct their modeling. Animals do it in an already inherent way. Okay, so we need to create these environments inside of us and outside of us. So what happened is that instead of us connecting to the only part that makes us human, which is the prefrontal cortex, right, where we can encode principles, religious principles about God, about goodness, about being a good person, and all of that, it's not taking command of our lives, but our self-serving lifestyle. Why? Because we listened to those drives and we didn't know what was going on, right? So what we have now in our minds, in our brains, it's a leaders at war. There are two places in our brain that want to become the CEO of our lives. Please take a picture of this, because I'm not going to be able to, but this is to explain the whole thing, but this is the mere thing of everything. There is a reverse dominion inside of ourselves. Instead of us being dominated or guided to guide our lives and base our lives in principles, we are basing our lives in emotional logics, in biological logics. And the beautiful thing of this is that there is everything is in unity, religion and science, right? So I'm not going to read it now, but you can also take the picture. Here's Viktor Frankl and Carl Jung, but we see in the Bible the same thing. The Bible says, for example, what I see, but I see another law in my members, warring. It's against the law of my mind, right? And Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So, and this is Luan Brizendine. Please take her picture and look for her. She completely goes to the same conclusion. So I'm just going to pass this really fast. This is how why you should connect. The railroad represents the level of connection to your principles. And if you don't take your time to do this, any unprincipled approaches will take you off track. Same for girls, same for boys, right? So we need to really work on this. And if it's not that proposals, it's your hormones. Hormones should do what you say they should do, but they should take you where you want to take, not the hormones tell you what to do or what to think or what to feel or how to feel. Our self means reptilian self, or sort of biosurvival self, and the E self-serving mind. So everything can take you. So what do we recommend? And you have these also in your handouts, is to apply 4-position foundation. And when you have the peer pressure, which is the president of Women Federation mentioned all of these situations, right? What you do is you want to be a star and use this an acronym. S for stop, think. How do you think? You connect to the three objects within this four position foundation. To principle.
I
Yes.
give you 30 seconds to.
30 seconds.
I'm so
Okay.
sorry, I already
Yes,
gave you
yes,
extra
yes.
time.
Yes, okay. So this one you have in your handouts. If you want more, my email is there. And I want to say the fifth condition, of course, there's only one place where the environment can be fully created to orchestrate healthy development and is human family within a human society that is also refreshed, transformed. So the healthy brain development possible within a healthy family, society, and nation is the ultimate anti-drug and anti-crime strategy. And the rest of this you will see in the handouts. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry because I really wanted to convey more powerful information to you. I'm just leaving this so you can take a picture and also of the next.
Thank you so much. I feel very sorry to have to cut you off because
Stop the screen.
I felt very sorry to cut you off because it was actually very interesting and also the way you bring it, it's very exciting. So thank you for this lesson or on brain development and how it works and how your brain development really also decides how you act as a young adult in life. So thank you so much, Dr. Tomazzini. And from the brain, we go to a great project of the UNODC, CHAMS, Children Amplified Prevention Services. And for that, with us is here Karen Peters of the UNODC. She's a public health and policy specialist with over a decade of experience across the United Nations system and global health sectors. She currently serves as Drug Use Prevention Program Officer with the UNODC in Vienna, where she leads cross-sectoral initiatives focused on family skills, prevention science, and evidence-informed policy development. There's lots more to say about Mrs. Karen Peters, but we are very pleased that you're here and that UNODC is supporting our side events, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Firstly, thanks so much to the Women's Federation for World Peace for consistently engaging us on these very important topics and providing us a platform to share some of the work that we are doing with the member states around prevention that links to the topics. Yeah, I would also just like to acknowledge that the presenters before me shared a lot already about the foundations of why we work on systems approach to prevention. Particularly, Hori-san, when you were mentioning around crime prevention is not the responsibility of families alone. We need to have a multisectoral approach. And Natali Migano talking about every child needs to feel safe and empowered and protected to grow. These are very foundational principles that help to guide the development of our initiative called CHAMPS. So if we go to the first page, oh, sorry, the next one. Oh, I think, yay! Okay, got the power. Okay. When we were developing the CHAMPS framework or the CHAMPS initiative, there were some common objectives that we wished to clarify around prevention science. And we looked at the prevention approaches that were taken at a systemic level. Now, Dr. Tomassini was talking more on the interpersonal level when it comes to individual brain development. The CHAMPS initiative is looking at systems. So more in an institutional sphere on what governments, what organizations, what different groups that are working in prevention can do to contribute to prevention. We noted that there was often very limited approaches that were evidence-based on prevention, and these were specifically only focusing on awareness-raising campaigns around what works in prevention of drug use, or at least for child development. We also noticed that the prevention programs that were available mostly focused on adolescence as a life stage. And for us, this was an intervention too late when you are focusing on adolescence. And we also looked at what the evidence shows around vulnerability to drug use, that it is linked to multiple factors and it's not just based on a lack of information. And when we accept that prevention is not just a lack of information, we can see how awareness raising campaigns is just not sufficient to have effective prevention systems. We based the program or the initiative on what the international standards on drug use prevention say around what works for preventing drug use and other risk behaviors. The international standards that was updated with the WHO in 2018, that's the current version we're using now, is also encompassing substance use prevention. So it's not just about drugs or narcotic drugs. And when we are working on what works on prevention, we also consider that this usually have cross-cutting benefits to other risky behaviors. So what is CHAMPS? Essentially, it is a systems approach to prevention. It supports countries to strengthen prevention across age ranges and stages of childhood, from age 0 to 18 years of age. It's aligned with the international standards and it integrates interventions across families, schools, and communities. It ensures and it aims to ensure that no child falls through the cracks, that we have a system in a country that is really essentially covering all the bases when it comes to what can help support that child's development. We have, and of course, the most commonly used data that we know around drug use usually are school-based surveys. This we get from different monitoring and evaluations. But what we normally do when we first engage countries on a CHAMPS initiative is we want to understand what is available at the national level. And this is not only by engaging stakeholders that normally work on drug prevention, but it's really looking at the entire system, including from the education sector, the criminal justice sector, what is available during the different life stages and according to the different interventions that the country is offering for children and youth. We have, of course, a global mandate and support. There's 2 resolutions that came out of the Commission on Narcotic Drugs. The first is on establishing, this was the first one, the evidence-based early prevention or promoting and comprehensive evidence-based early prevention. And we realized after that resolution, the member states realized that wasn't sufficient, that we also needed to have a resolution where countries all agreed to align on promoting comprehensive scientific evidence-based multisectoral national systems for drug use prevention. Right now, our CHAMPS program is running in 10 countries, in Algeria, Argentina, Cyprus, Egypt, Brazil, Ecuador, Greece, Norway, Nigeria, and Uzbekistan. We are currently discussing expansion across other regions as well. We have, and the CHAMPS framework ensures strong collaboration with governments, CSOs, other UN agencies beyond UNODC, academia, because their research component is really so important to our work, and the private sector. Noting also that youth engagement and youth collaboration on these topics is essential, and that youth are one of our key stakeholders, not just to target them as recipients of programs, but to really get them involved in the design and the development of initiatives. And the CHAMPS framework also promotes coordination, avoids duplication, and helps to strengthen the national systems. But this is really what it looks like. There's 2 phases to CHAMPS. In the first phase, usually in the first year, we do a systems mapping and assessment with the government counterparts, the NGOs, and the other key stakeholders, including the youth that we've identified. And we use the tools that we've developed. This one is called Review of Prevention Systems, to help to understand what is available and where are the gaps. Then we choose certain indicators that we want to follow to say, okay, if these are the gaps, these are the areas that we need to strengthen, and that's what we're going to focus on for the next phase. And we do a baseline study. We also do develop the research protocol. In the second phase, which is usually the following years, we start with the capacity building, the national implementation, and evaluating the outcome of that. So far, of the 10 countries, only Uzbekistan have completed phase 1. By the end of this year, we will have at least 4 other countries that would have completed the first phase. So it is a long process. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's because we want to be as thorough as possible and offer the best technical assistance to countries. So I'm going to end off by summarizing, and saying that investing in prevention systems also delivers a huge impact. We know that it has an impact on reducing drug use and other risk behaviors, improving mental health and child well-being, supporting more effective and sustainable policies, and CHAMPS turns prevention into a long-term scalable system. So we invite you all to help us to put the safety and well-being of children first, to acknowledge that all children have the right to a healthy and safe childhood, support implementation of evidence-based prevention where and if you can, strengthen your partnerships towards a common goal. We don't have to do this alone. We can work with others to have a greater impact. And that to do that, we would help to champion prevention systems in our work and in our workplaces. And the last thing I want to say is not on the slide, but also the support of our CHAMPS implementation has been generously guided by certain member states, in particular Austria, Italy, France, the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden and Slovenia. And these are the countries that have supported financially investing in the CHAMPS rollouts.
Yeah.
But of course, the other countries that are involved in CHAMPS are supporting CHAMPS by funding their own national implementation. And for that, we are also really grateful. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen, for giving this wonderful presentation on this great project, and also honoring the member states who are making it possible as well. So we are following up on the development. Yeah. So our next speaker sitting next to me, Mr. Christian Clark. He has been a teacher for a lot of years and is now a headmaster of a secondary school in Vienna. And he has written a few books as well. What's going on in our schools from 2024 and how can we save the future of our kids, 2025. And he will speak on the role of schools. So the floor is yours.
Can I have the power?
Yes.
Well,
There, the next one is here. Okay, this is me. So I will start with some questions.
great.
The questions are migration, multilingualism, cultural diversity, an asset or it's a challenge. And in the schools, at the center of this debate, the schools, are they still places of learning or are they already arenas of cultural conflicts? And how should we deal with this? Is it an opportunity or is it an overwhelming challenge? And I have some other flows made, but we talked in the beginning and I see this watch is making me a little nervous. It's already going down. No, already. So I want to start little to tell you how is a school in a district like my school, like Berlin, like Paris, like, I don't know, all these cities in Europe. And the first example is if you start in a primary school in Vienna, some schools, everybody, some schools, not everybody, but in that all Vienna, nearly half of the kids are born in Vienna. They don't know more than 10 words in German. So it's very hard to start school because they are in their crowd. They don't meet German, they don't learn German, they don't learn the culture of Austria or Vienna. So this is a big problem. For example, I start this example to show it to you. Short time ago, I hear the story of a working woman in a kindergarten, and she has to change the window. And she changed the window, and what she saw was FGM girl with 1 year. And you need to imagine, we were thinking it's coming from outside already. FGM is a part of Vienna. It's happening already here. So, and these are these things what we have to think about. If you think on cultural integration, we have to think that already in the primary school, it's starting to be more and more girls who taking scarf, and I don't want to make a religious discussion, but they cannot be a part of an open-minded society if they are in a closed society. And we have a problem. I had a 14-year-old girl in my last class. The kids in my school are from 10 to 14, some of them are 15 or 16. She was married over the summer holidays. She was married, but she was not on a travel to marry and coming back. She was in Graz. There, they forced her for marriage. And I was talking to the girls and to this girl, and she said to me, you know, I'm 1 year older than the others because I had to repeat a class. So you know about my marriage. But all Chechenian girls in Vienna, we see the freedom. We never will be free. We are all married in this age. So we have a lot of cultural problems, and we need to take decisions. What society do we want to have? What society do we want? The open, the democratic society, or a changing society in a more closed society? We have to think about security. I have a special class because I was thinking the security and the right of education for normal kids is very important. So, and I have kids with 13, 14 years. They just want to make problems, to force, to take the eating, to whatever. I put these extreme kids out of the class for the rights, for education and safety for the other kids. So I have a special class, 12 kids about 14 years, some 13, 14, 15. And I have some kids who are in jail already, so they don't come to school. Last week, the teacher of this class was coming to me, you know, I was not expecting, but now we have a week, we have a time when not one kid of my school is in jail. Yesterday he was coming and said, okay, it was a short time. One is already in jail again. And why is this boy, especially this boy, I don't know why he's in jail now, but I know why he was in the beginning of the year. Because he told his sister, 17 years old sister, there is no father, and he was the man in the house, and his sister turned off scarf, he's 17 years old. And he told her, okay, this is very bad for our family, so I will kill you. In the night, I will kill you, and the mother allowed it, so I will also kill the mother. So when we invited the mother, because we wanted to tell the mother, you know, he's not learning, he's behaving bad. And the mother said to us, you know, I don't care about the problems at school. Every evening, I don't know if I wake up next day and I have to close my sleeping room. And also the sister has to close the sleeping room. And we called the police and told them, okay, there's a problem, and they picked him up. This is reality situations in the middle of Vienna. It's not in, I don't know where. When I was a young teacher, I was thinking, okay, let's talk about FGM in Africa or wherever, but let's talk about FGM and forced marriage and child marriage in Vienna, in Berlin, in Paris, in Brussels. I think it's not good for the kids. Very simple. So, but we have to know the school is the place where the society of the future is. And we need to have role models. I hear that we need role models, but we also need to take care what role model stuff does we have. So the government has to think about what role models do we want? We need to have democratic, open, man, female, man, woman, equal thinking people as role models for the kids, because this will influence how the kids will be adults, and this will influence how the society of our future will be. So we need to decide, social diversity, is it what we want? And what sort of society do we want in the future? And we need to fight for this, what we want. And it's not diversity and cultural plurality. It's a very nice thinking and dreaming, but in fact, it's a cultural fight. And it's a question, what culture will be the main culture? And I'm very open in this. The main culture, what I want, is the free, democratic, open, woman respecting culture. So I'm very loud and I'm very forcing and I'm very directly to my kids to tell this. And we have to decide as governments, as organizations, not like, oh, let everybody see how he wants. Let's give the borders. In this border, you can be how you want. But some cultural things, we decide and we want it. So my time is over.
Yeah,
Already.
nothing over, but if you can round up because you already gave your
Yeah. So the other stories I told, just a small story. It's not from the school. It's from my grandchild. He's a football player, 13 years old, and it's a small story. In Ramadan he had a football game starting at 6 o'clock. It was very cold. I was there with freezing, and it started again. The game exactly on 6 o'clock. 6 and 3 minutes. The game was stopped because drinking break for Ramadan. And I think if it's religion, they can ask to start the game 10 minutes later and make in the changing room, drink water and eat a dattel, and don't stop a game in a very cold period. It's also dangerous for kids if they're standing 5 minutes and then play again. So the meaning was not, I'm very religious, I need to drink water. The message was, we want to change the society in the football game. So we have to think, do we want this? Do we not want this? It's a very important question. So this is my finished story. I see the time is. So I think not everybody is the same opinion. So let's discuss it. I also have cards if you want to discuss it later. So I think it's clear words. My name is Clear. Not everybody needs to be in my opinion, but it's my opinion.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Mr. Staff, very, very informative as well. And then we quickly proceed because we still have 2 speakers, so we go a little over time, but amazing speakers. From Vienna, we're going to our colleagues online from the Middle East. Our next speaker is Roa Abojab from the Women's Federation for World Peace Jordan, and she's with us online. She is a motivated civil engineer with knowledge in infrastructure design, construction supervision, and project coordination. And she's also been seeking opportunity to contribute to engineering projects with high quality, safety, and professional standards. And she will be talking on her voluntary work at the Women's Federation for World Peace, and about value-based education countering criminal involvement of youth. Roa, we're very happy that you could be with us live.
Thank you
And the
so
floor
much.
is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Women's Federation for World and Peace International and the organizer of this event for giving me the opportunity and the responsibility to represent WFWP at this important event. It's truly an honor to be here and to share our experience working with youth, families, and communities in Jordan. So, I have a presentation. I don't know if you see my presentation or not yet. It's okay?
Yes.
Yes.
to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, my name is Raab Diab. Through my work, I organize and support programs for youth, mothers, and families that focus on value-based education, emotional support, leadership development, and community engagement. WFWP Jordan works to strengthen families and empower young people, educational activity, volunteering, dialogue, and safe community spaces. So our goal is to help youth to build confidence, responsibility, and sense of belonging while creating more peaceful communities. So, next slide. Why prevention matter? Why we focus on prevention matter? Today, many young people faces emotional stress, social pressure, economic hardship, and online dangers. So without guidance and support, some youth may become vulnerable to violence and criminal behavior and some drug abuse or harmful online influence. We believe that prevention begins long before crime happens. It begins in the family, in school, in the community, and this is why value-based educational is extremely important for them. So the main cause, from our experience working with youth and families, we noticed three major causes that increase vulnerability among young people. The first one is the family instability. When children grow up without emotional support and communication between each other and between the family or trust, they often search for belonging elsewhere. And the second cause is negative peer and online influence. Today, social media can expose youth to violence, multiplication, and unhealthy behavior very quickly. And the third cause is the lack of belonging and safe spaces. Many young people simply need a safe environment where they feel heard and to be respected and to be supported. Next slide, please. Our approach in Jordan at WFWP, we focus on prevention through education, emotional support, and community engagement. Our program include character education, leadership activity, mother program, and emotional support activities. We also organize some workshop and discussions for volunteer and some volunteer activity and teamwork project, and the young people can help the young people to build confidence and communication skills with their community. We try to create positive environment where the youth can feel valued and to be connected with their community. They can start thinking about their families, about their community, about their friends without do anything wrong. So, next slide. Working with mothers and family. One of the most important part of prevention is the strengthening family. Through Mother's Program Family Session, we focus on positive parenting, communication, emotional understanding, and building trust instead of fear. When children feel emotionally safe at home, they are less likely to seek belonging in the harmful environment. We believe that supporting mothers and family is one of the strongest forms of young protections. And also, we have some empowering for youth. Young people need more than advice, not just the advice. They want to see, they want to feel some experience, to feel that we are seen, we are part of this community. So they need the opportunities to encouragement and positive experience through our sports activities or our teamwork activities, our leadership activities, and volunteering and some study and some support for their study, and youth being to develop responsibility and some self-confidence between themselves. Many students become, we see that many students become more socially and more connected and more emotionally stronger through these activities. We especially focus on creating safe communication spaces where youth can express themselves positively. Next slide. The real impact. I think next slide, not this one. The real impact. Although our work is community-based, we have seen meaningful positive impact. As I said, many young people become more confident, more emotionally aware, and socially engaged. We also noticed better communication within their family as we visit them inside their home. We always make visiting for them. So we noticed that within family, their communication start to be more like positive communication and reduce the aggressive behavior between them. Among some youth participants, sometimes prevention begins simply by making young person feel seen, feel supported and valued. So thank you everyone. In conclusion, we believe that prevention is not only about stopping crime, it's about building hope and connection and belonging. When young people feel valued, heard, and supported, they are far less likely to seek belonging. Thank you so much for listening, and that's our contact. We hope to hear from you, and if you have any question, we are ready to answer. Thank you, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much, Roa, for
Thank you all.
your project. And we're very happy that you could be with us on the live.
Thank you so
online.
much.
Thank you so much. And also thank you to all the work the Women's Federation is doing in the Middle East. And yeah, we're getting over time, but I hope you can all still stay for our last speaker.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. She is here present all the way from Israel, Mrs. Hala Abu Saris from Debate for Peace. Hala has a background in education, childhood development, and is passionate about creating inclusive and impactful learning environment. And Debate for Peace is a very impressive organization that brings together Arab and Jewish students. And she will be talking about peer-to-peer education for peace, countering hate and violent behavior. Hala, we're very happy that you could be here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would like to start with saying, may peace be upon you all, which is Assalamu alaikum. I live in the Holy Land, which is both a privilege and a responsibility.
Do you need to present?
Yes.
PDF? Okay. Yeah.
It is a land circuit to many faiths, identities, and history. A place with cultures, traditions, and languages live side by side. A place that should be grounded in the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and respect for every human being, regardless of their background. But in reality, many students grow up separated from one another, attending different schools, living in different communities, even speaking different languages, with a little chance to meet or understand each other. Since our brains are wired to categorize people, we often separate one another through stereotypes.
Next.
That what creates fear and misunderstanding. When teenagers only encounter each other through media, political tension, or conflicts, they stop seeing human beings and begin seeing labels. That is why informal education is key to creating safe environments for students from different backgrounds to come together, not as stereotypes and accusations, but as human beings. That's what we do at Debate for Peace. For example, we run a program called Writers Matter, where Arab and Jewish students come together through writing and storytelling. Writing becomes a bridge between communities. When they sit, listen to understand each other, they see how living in the same country, yet living in different realities of life. Our students are native Arabic and Hebrew speakers, but our program is delivered in English to prepare them for a global environment. As Hala, I proudly belong to the Arab section. Typically, I'm a 48er. In the last few years, my community has been suffering, not only from the regional conflicts, but from criminal violence. In our cities and towns, each year it brings a new record high in lives lost to criminal violence, mostly young people. As we mourn loss after loss, we must ask ourselves why. Why would a 16, 12, or 18-year-old become violent? Why would someone destroy their life over fear, anger, or pride? Often, the answer is unmet need. The lack of education, financial stability, opportunity, and most importantly, the lack of being heard. That feeling of betrayal by your own government, your own country, or even by justice systems, are operating but betraying their purpose. What makes Arab and Jewish students or youth carry anger inside of them. Yet, despite all that pain, they still remain unheard. To address this, in our interfaith program, we offer space where youth feel heard and seen, and can share their political views. Through offering youth a chance to visit embassies throughout the Holy Land, exposing youth to diplomacy, leadership, and international dialogue. These opportunities remind students that their voices matter and that they are capable of becoming leaders and change agents rather than victims of violence. In Debate for Peace's peace-building simulations, we challenge our teams to reach negotiated resolutions to conflicts, letting them lead by examples. In these simulations, we teach youth how to communicate respectfully, even during disagreements, and that finding win-win compromises can be difficult, but rewarding. In a region where conversations are often shaped by fear and division, teaching young people how to listen becomes an act of peace building itself. What led me to peace building was losing a friend, a classmate who was like a brother to me. That loss changed the way I understood violence. I also watched friends ended up in prison, not because they were evil, no, but because their needs for guidance, belonging, and support were never met. That is when I realized that crime prevention is not only about punishment, but it's about education, dialogue, and human connection. When it comes to human connection, what Debate for Peace offers is delegation for participants, Arab and Jews, to participate and work together in model United Nations conferences. Students who may have once viewed each other with suspicion and fear, suddenly they become teammates, roommates, and friends. They travel together, solve problems together, and represent one another. These experiences change people. Because once you eat, live, debate together, it becomes much harder to hate one another. And my motto is tawakkul, which means placing your trust in Allah, God, or even in the unknown, even when the whole world gives you a reason to lose hope. Because peace is not only when one human because peace is when one human finally chooses to see another as a human. And I would like to leave you with one question. If hatred can be taught, why can't peace be taught? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hala, for your very beautiful presentation and explaining what Debate for Peace is doing in your country specifically. Very beautiful project. And yes, I would love to lead a discussion with this beautiful panel, but we're super over time. So I would like to encourage us all to approach each other and exchange contact and support each other's endeavors. So thank you so much for being with us, all our friends and colleagues online. And I would wish you a great continuation of this day. Thank you so much.
When we work with picture, all the panel together or everybody together?
Photo? Standing or sitting?
Maybe standing, or you can sit. You can stay there, because you know, like, ladies, we have to stay with you. We have to stay with you.
طيب طب كويس اطفي دوت عشان هم لو
One more. She's our well, she won't be here.